Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into a super common, and sometimes super annoying, check engine light code, P0446. So, what exactly is P0446? The official definition is evaporative emission control system vent control circuit malfunction. Sounds like a mouthful, right? Let's break it down into plain English. Think of your car's fuel tank. Gasoline naturally creates vapor, and we can't just let those fumes escape into the atmosphere. That's where the EVAP system comes in. It's a sealed network of hoses, valves, and a charcoal canister that safely traps and stores these fuel vapors. When you're driving, the system purges these stored vapors into the engine to be burned off cleanly. P0446 specifically points to a problem on the vent side of this system. This is the part that allows fresh air to enter the system during tests and purging. When your car's computer, the ECU, tries to operate the vent valve and sees something wrong, either it's not responding, or the electrical signal is out of spec, it throws the P0446 code and lights up your dashboard. So, what will you actually notice when you have this code? The most obvious sign, of course, is the check engine light glaring at you. You might also notice a distinct smell of raw fuel, especially around the back of your car. This happens because the system isn't sealed properly, and those vapors are escaping. Another potential symptom, though less common, is a slight decrease in fuel economy. And when it comes time for a state inspection or emissions test, you're almost guaranteed to fail with this code active. In some rare cases, you might even have a little trouble filling up your gas tank. The pump might click off repeatedly because the tank can't vent properly as it's being filled. Now, for the fun part. Let's track down the culprit. The most common cause of a P0446 code. Bialongsot is a faulty evap vent valve, also known as a vent solenoid. This little guy is the gatekeeper that lets fresh air into the system. Over time, they can get stuck open, stuck closed, or just fail electrically. It's often located near the charcoal canister, which is usually found near the fuel tank at the rear of the vehicle. But before you rush out and buy a new valve, let's not forget the circuit part of the code's description. The problem could be in the wiring itself. A wire could be broken, frayed, or chewed through by a rodent. The connector to the vent valve could also be corroded, loose, or full of dirt and grime, preventing a good electrical connection. Don't overlook this. A simple cleaning of the connector can sometimes be all it takes to fix the problem. Another possible cause is a clogged or failed charcoal canister. If the canister becomes saturated with fuel, or if the charcoal granules break down and clog the vent passages, it can restrict airflow and trigger the code. You might also find that the vent hose itself is blocked, pinched, or cracked. It's always a good idea to give all the hoses connected to the canister a thorough inspection. And while it's less common for this specific code, a faulty fuel tank pressure sensor can sometimes send incorrect data to the computer, leading it to mistakenly flag the vent circuit. Alright, let's talk about the fix. First, you need a good OBD2 scanner. Pull the code to confirm it's P0446 and check for any other related codes. The first and easiest step is a visual inspection. Get under the rear of the car and locate the charcoal canister and the attached vent valve. Look closely at the wiring harness and the connector going to the valve. Do you see any obvious damage? Is the connector green with corrosion? Is a wire hanging by a thread? If everything looks good visually, the next step is usually to test the vent valve itself. Many scanners have a function that allows you to command the vent valve to open and close. You should be able to hear a distinct click from the valve as it operates. If you hear nothing, the valve is likely bad. If you don't have a fancy scanner, you can often test it with a 12-volt power source. Disconnect the valve and apply power directly to its terminals. Again, you're listening for that click. No click means you need a new valve. If the valve clicks and seems to be working, it's time to check the wiring. Using a multimeter, you'll want to check for proper voltage and ground at the connector with the key on. You should see battery voltage on one wire and a good ground on the other. If you're missing either one, you'll have to trace that wire back through the harness to find the break. If the wiring and the valve both check out, your attention should turn to the canister and hoses. Remove the hoses and check for any blockages. If you see charcoal pellets falling out of the vent tube, that's a dead giveaway that the canister has failed and needs to be replaced along with the vent valve. Replacing the vent valve is usually a straightforward job that most DIYers can handle. It's typically held on with just a couple of bolts or a simple clip. Just disconnect the electrical connector and the hoses. Swap out the old valve for the new one and reconnect everything. After you've completed your repair, clear the code with your scanner and take the car for a drive cycle to ensure the light doesn't come back on. So there you have it, a complete guide to diagnosing and fixing the P0446 code. It might seem intimidating, but with a logical approach, you can save yourself a trip to the shop. Thanks for watching, and if this video helped you out, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and we'll see you in the next one.